guidance only. You should always seek your own independent legal opinion. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download Global Player, where you can listen live to LBC, catch up with any shows that you've missed, and listen to a range of podcasts. Coming up at 1 is the brilliant Clive Ball. But next here on LBC, you know who's next. It's my uncle, Nick Abbott.
Dean, the country is falling apart. The bits of the world that aren't on fire are underwater. Prisoners are escaping using the sorts of high-tech manoeuvres they employed on the film The Great Escape. The Education Minister has £34 million spent on titivating her own office space, while the schools she's responsible for are falling down. And Rishi Sunak's excuse is that Keir Starmer of the Labour Party hasn't said anything about it. But silver linings. Germany isn't doing very well, which in the minds of the Brexit ultras means that we are doing very well indeed, which would be good if it were true. But just because it isn't, these days, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. All that and more coming up with me, Nick Abbott, after the new news at 10 on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
No. Nothing at all. Is it on tape? It is. It's on tape. Oh, that's something that I should have been told before I got here. Never mind. We'll pretend it didn't happen.
From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock, police officers hunting the escaped terror suspect Daniel Khalif say they have a significant sighting of him. Head of counter-terror at Scotland Yard, Commander Dominic Murphy, gave this update a while ago.
That member of the public saw Daniel climbing out from underneath the lorry. At that time, he was wearing his chef's uniform and he was seen walking towards the town centre in Wandsworth. Clearly, that will be a significant development for our investigation.
Well, the Metropolitan Police have also put up a £20,000 reward today for any information that helps locate him. They say they've so far received 100 calls from the public. The crumbling concrete that has closed schools across England and Wales has been discovered at Heathrow and Gatwick airports. Gatwick says no concerns were raised after an inspection of the sites in June this year. Heathrow, though, says remedial work has taken place in Terminal 3. Network Rail has been fined almost £7 million after admitting a series of failings prior to a rail crash that claimed 3 lives. The derailment due to a drainage system on a stretch of track in Aberdeenshire also left 6 people injured. The judge, Lord Hugh Matthews, says he had to take into consideration previous failures, but was also obliged to hear Network Rail's mitigation in court.
He expressed eloquently the company's regrets and sympathies for all those affected. Amongst the factors to which he has drawn attention are the company's safety-driven ethos, operating as they do one of the safest railway networks in Europe, with accidents such as this a very rare occurrence.
The royal family has been remembering the late Queen on the first anniversary of her death. King Charles and Camilla attended a service at a church near Balmoral. The Prince and Princess of Wales held prayers at St David's in Pembrokeshire, and Prince Harry visited St George's Chapel in Windsor. Finally, Scotland have made it 5 wins out of 5 games in Euro 2024 qualifying. They've won 3-0 in Cyprus to take a massive step towards automatic qualification to the tournament next summer. LBC markets report the FTSE 100 closed up 36 points at 74.78. The pound buys $1.25 and €1.17. LBC weather mostly dry and warm tonight. Chance of thunder though in the west with a low of 13. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Serena Farrow.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Everything is going extremely well.
He thinks he looks good in a bathing suit. He doesn't.
Apropos of that, Darryl texts, very, very suspiciously early communicator. He says, yesterday I went for a swim off Brighton Beach and the sea was as clear as crystal. No, not crystal. What's the word? Crud. Clear as crud. He says Britain truly is an effluent society. Still, I guess we can forgive the water companies. After all, there has been a lot of rain this week, I assume. Yeah, apparently. Well, there's been a lot of rain somewhere, and it has affected an outflow pipe near you. Coincidentally, I was on Brighton Beach yesterday myself. I couldn't believe the amount of people that were in the water. And I was thinking all the time, do you get the news where you live? Don't go in the water.
Warning, warning.
It was absolutely packed. I've never seen so many people on or in the water in my life. There are a lot of people who are doing the paddle thing where you blow up a massive lilo and then you stand on it and you paddle out a bit. And I assume that they were renting those things because there was a lot of them about, and people didn't look as though they owned them or were proficient in the use of them. But they all looked incredibly bored because the moment they got about 50 yards off the pebble beach, they looked as though they thought, well, okay, what do I do now? Let's just paddle about a bit, then what? Yeah, but I was surprised at the amount of people who were in the water. It didn't look like a sensible thing to do for me. But, whatever floats your boat. So there's a lot of weather about. Hong Kong just recorded its heaviest hourly rainfall on record, as in ever, with 158.1 millimetres, as in 6.2 inches, fact fans. Between 11 p.m. and midnight, 6 inches of rain in 1 hour. Records date back to 1884, that's 139 years ago. A rare black rainstorm warning signal was issued by the Hong Kong Observatory.
Warning, warning.
Greece, meanwhile, just received over a year's worth of rain in less than 12 hours, leading to massive flooding. Hong Kong's underwater, by the way. Currently heading towards the east coast of America, there's a hurricane called Hurricane Lee. It's continued to outperform even the most aggressive intensity forecasts, may soon become a Category 5 storm with winds of 205 miles an hour.
What?
You believe that? And it's heading towards America on the east coast. Good job not a lot of people live there, eh? Meanwhile, Antarctica is likely warming at almost twice the rate of the rest of the world, and faster than climate change models are predicting, with potentially far-reaching implications for global sea level rise. We're going to need a bigger boat. Meanwhile, the Brazilian state of Rio Grande do Sul just experienced one of its worst weather-related disasters in history after torrential rain triggered widespread flooding across the region. A bridge swept away after the level of a river rose by 22 metres. Wow! The level of a river rose by 22 metres. But here everything is fine, apart from the constant whining about how hot it is. And it is hot for September. For September, it's, and here comes that word that now accompanies every weather event these days, unprecedented. If it's unprecedented, that means it's never happened before. It's nature's warning bell. Wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think. Britain is currently having the longest September heatwave on record, as in ever, and it will continue this weekend with highs expected of 33 degrees centigrade. What? And that is, I'm not even going to bother to work it out for you. Hot. H-O-T-T, hot. The UK has now had the most consecutive days of 30-degree heat in September ever. It's unprecedented.
Correct.
However, tomorrow between 2 and 9 p.m, central parts of England have been warned to watch out for heavy showers with thunder, lightning, very, very frightening. The Met Office is issuing a yellow warning for potential sudden flooding, power cuts, lightning strikes and hail. Nothing major. Forecasters have told those within the warning area to expect that spray and sudden flooding could lead to difficult driving conditions and some road closures. This will make driving treacherous, so if you must drive, if it is essential, please make sure and tail the car in front so close they can't see you flashing them as you undertake on a roundabout. Of course, if you're in an Audi, you will already be doing this.
Thank you.
It's the longest September heatwave we've ever had by a factor of 2, as in twice as many days as we've ever had before of this kind of heat in September. The UK Health Security Agency has already issued an amber heat health alert until 9 p.m. on Sunday in nearly every part of England. They said,
emergency, everybody to get from street. Emergency, everybody to get from street.
A right-wing pundit on social media said the heatwave had been caused by arsonists setting fires in Greece and nothing to do with climate change, which is just a Ramona plot to install Jeremy Corbyn in number 10 and turn this country into a communist hellhole where cars are banned and we'll have to go to work on a horse. But the hot spell could come to an end with heavy thunder. Stormy downpours are due to send temperatures plummeting by around 10 degrees centigrade, with conditions returning to around average for the time of year by early next week. We're complaining now, but we'll miss it when it's gone. Some western areas could experience thunder today, but it's due to, well, today. There's not much of today left. But it's due to become more widespread tomorrow, said the Met Office. It's a yellow warning for thunderstorms tomorrow from 2 till 9. 2 in the afternoon, 9 in the evening. And they said a few heavy showers with thunderstorms are possible, perhaps leading to some disruption. Yes, that sounds like this country. Trains will be halted, planes will fall out of the sky, schools will crumble to dust, that kind of thing. Saturday, hot, hot and sunny with outbreaks of people saying, gosh, it's hot. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
OK, for the next couple of weeks. At first, more hot, but turning more unsettled with gradually cooling weather from the west and the northwest, with showers or longer spells of rain. And then, a cold front, bringing showery rain with temperatures returning to near-normal values for the time of year. Near normal for the time of year. Most unsettled across the north of the country. More settled, brighter and drier in southern parts. Yeah, a particular northern area is going to be unsettled, I betcha. Checking while you wait. One moment, please. All details will be revealed. Listeners in Glasgow will have their own weather. And here it is. Oh, blimey. It's not raining at the moment, but it's going to be. It's going to be raining tomorrow and raining on Sunday and raining on Monday and... what? Not raining on Tuesday and Wednesday? Pfft, rubbish. But raining on Thursday and raining on Friday and raining on Saturday and raining on Sunday and raining next Monday the 18th and raining the following Tuesday and the Wednesday and the Thursday and every day for the rest of your lives. That's Glasgow. And then, for everybody, last week in September, the first week in October. Blimey, it's practically October already. It's almost Jesus' birthday. So for the end of September, drier conditions than normal and temperatures may be above average for the time of year. There's also a likelihood of some unseasonably warm spells than would normally be expected. A high likelihood of some unseasonably warm spells than would normally be expected? We'll take it. Simon says, I know the weather's been good, but to bring you back to reality this week, in a local supermarket, which I won't in a local supermarket which I won't name but rhymes with strawberries. Strawberries? Aldi? Tesco? Morrison's? Waitrose? Oh, Sainsbury's. Well, I suppose so, yeah, strawberries, Sainsbury's. Yeah, OK, that rhymes. It was going to be the last one I got to. I don't know why. It's just the... I don't know why. I think it's the orange. I'm just not keen on orange as a colour. Why on earth would you pick orange as the colour for your logo? That just seems a bit... I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, they say, Simon says, I know the weather's been good, but to bring you back to reality, this week in a local... And I don't even need to read the end of this sentence. I know where he's going. He's going for Christmas, I betcha. Betcha. They skip over Halloween and go straight to Christmas. So let's find out. He says, in a local supermarket, which I won't name, but rhymes with Sainsbury's, they were selling mince pies and leaves that are starting to fall off the trees. Summer is over.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Winter is here. But it isn't. Stop moaning about the heat, people. You'll miss it when it's gone. Kirsty says, I love your show, but... Stop talking about the water company's spillage of sewage. Oh... The dictionary says spillage is an overflowing of something by accident. 8,000 squirts of sewage a week in our waterways is not accidental, so stop saying it, please. I don't know what you're talking about, Kirsty. I've only just started this show for a start, and I don't talk about spillages. You're listening to somebody else, Kirsty, not my fault. This show was like this when I got here. Daniel says, please help me out. What exactly is the function of Greg Hands? I don't know. Is it like jazz hands? He says the country's up on bricks, yet he sits on Twitter all day whinging about Carol Vorderman and a joke no... You go, Carol Vorderman. I'm on Team Carol. Team Carol.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that Team Carol.
Oh, right, yeah.
Carol Vorderman.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Those two Carols are not on the same team, believe me. Greg Hands. Yeah, I'd prefer to be, for Jazz Hands to actually be part of the government than Greg Hands. I mean, it wouldn't actually help in any way other than just being amusing. I'm doing my jazz hands as I'm speaking to you at the moment. If only this was television, eh? You get nothing. Toby says, I've been laughing along with you over the last couple of weeks at the Prime Minister's height, and then I realised I'm 4 centimetres shorter than him, says Toby. Impossible. If you're 4 centimetres shorter than he is, then you could fit into his suits, perhaps, because he can't. Those suits are made to measure that Fishy Sunak wears. Can you believe that? Made to measure suits. I don't know who they're made to measure, not him. How can anybody's shoulders be that thin and maintain the appearance of a human being? How do they hold his head up is what I don't understand. His shoulders are the thinnest shoulders I've ever seen on a human being. And his head's enormous. You'd think it would create some sort of strain. Architects should look into that. It's like his head is cantilevered out over his weirdly thin, tiny body. Not that I'm, picking on him because of his weirdly thin and tiny body. I'm picking on him because of absolutely everything else.
This government will have integrity, professionalism and accountability at every level.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Oh, blimey. How do I even begin? It's dizzying just thinking about it. Glasgow. Hello, Robert.
Oh, good evening, Nick. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Yeah, I'm fine too. Just to pull you up about you, I don't know what app you're using for the weather forecast for Glasgow, but tomorrow's the weather forecast I've got is for 22 to 26 degrees, hot, cloudy and overcast in the morning, yeah. But blazing hot in the afternoon up until 8 p.m, and then a warm, humid night followed by rain and heavy showers and thunder and lightning on Sunday, and then rain continuously after that.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, but
no, that's not what you said. You said it's raining tomorrow.
It is going to be raining tomorrow. Now, honestly, who would you? Wait a minute. Who would you believe? A weather forecast that says it's not going to be raining tomorrow in Glasgow, or a weather forecast that does say it's going to be raining?
The Met Office. That's what I use.
Yeah, never mind about that. Which do you think would be most accurate? If you had to bet money on it, would you bet that it would rain tomorrow or not?
If I had to bet money on it?
Yes.
Would I bet it's going to rain, or would I bet it's not going to rain?
That's what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
Select. Pick one.
I'd bet that it's not going to rain.
Oh, I'm sorry. You lose. You could have won the car. Very, very sad.
We shall see then.
Yeah, okay, thanks a lot, mate. It very much sounds like he's threatening me there. Oh, we'll see. Looking at my apps, baby, and tomorrow it says that Glasgow will be raining at up to a 59% chance of probability, which sounds like more likely than not to me. Raining between 4 and 8 p.m., as in the evening. Going from a 22% possibility up to 59 and then back down to 34. So I would expect it. I would dress for disaster if I were you at all times if you're living in Glasgow. And then Sunday, as the previous person explained, there's going to be a massive amount of electrical activity, thunder, lightning, very, very frightening.
Rock and roll!
Yeah, expect it. 0345 6060 973. Archie says, if immigrants can get in and criminals can get out, what could possibly go wrong with Fishy at the helm? What, you mean apart from the stuff that's gone wrong already? Which apparently is all Keir Starmer's fault for not bringing it to his attention. And now I've heard everything. Schools are crumbling because Keir Starmer hasn't done anything about it, says the Prime Minister of this country. I mean, they're not even trying anymore, are they? Although I do get the feeling that Fishy Sunak is actually trying. That this is the best that he can do. Can you believe that, Bodge?
I can't comment on that.
Yeah. I mean, even if he was in power, it would still be as dismal, but at least it'd be funny. And I'm not asking for a return of the funny. On this side of the Atlantic or the other.
Oh, shut up!
But, you know, a little amusement goes a long way. I mean, if everything is falling down around you, then, you know, like a joke every now and again wouldn't go amiss. but telling jokes is not Rishi Sunak's number one priority.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
Yeah, I don't think he could tell a joke if his life relied on it. I mean, he tries to be funny, or by which I mean he tries to read the lines that have been prepared for him at Prime Minister's questions in a funny way, but he fails on every count. I don't even believe that he's an actual human being. He seems like a robot to me.
Correct.
You know, he's got these weird puppy dog eyes, the kind of sad puppy dog eyes that looks like he's just peed on the kitchen floor. He knows he shouldn't have done it. He's a bad dog. Well, he's got those little, sad little eyes and this bouncy demeanour. Somebody must have told him to do that, because I don't believe that is innate behaviour. That he bounces up and down like a giddy little schoolboy. He just can't wait to tell his latest lie. Eager little thing he is. And then absolutely everything that comes out of his mouth is the opposite of the truth. It's amazing. I mean, at least we knew that Boris Johnson was going to lie continuously.
I followed the ministerial guidance at all times.
Yeah, and over and over and over again. We just expected it. Every time he opened his mouth, another lie would just drop out onto the floor in front of him. Oh! But Rishi Sunak was supposed to be this guy.
This government will have integrity at every
level. Yeah, sure, we know. At 0 levels. Mr. Integrity. You know, I thought that the previous low water mark for Prime Ministers was the Lizbot.
Absolutely.
But he's got her beat. Is he the worst Prime Minister we have ever had in this country? I mean, he wouldn't think so. I don't... Bodger would run him a close second, perhaps, but it doesn't appear to me as though he has a single solitary doubt about his ability or his ravishing good looks. He seems to be in love, LUV, with himself. It's painful. What have we done to deserve this? It must have been really bad. Shame is, I can't remember what it was. Maybe we were really drunk at the time.
Booze.
Exactly, Carol. Exactly. Lucy says, who should Rishi Sunak rely to keep him on solid ground? An expert or someone who's done their research? You don't have to do very much research to disprove pretty much everything that man says. It's absolutely extraordinary, his ability to just tell you what is not true to your face or right down the camera lens. And it's as though he's not thinking about it. It's like he's detached his brain from his face. Because he must know he's not telling you the truth. I mean, he's either wildly incompetent or he's just adept at being able to tell you something that's not real. Which is a roundabout way of saying... Liar! Yeah. A little bit roundabout. But it is as though he... I mean, psychologists would have a field day with this guy. He doesn't appear to have any emotion that actually gives away that he is... knowingly telling you something that's not true. And he does it over and over and over again. He's like the Donald Trump of this... He's even worse than this bloke.
Yeah. Wait.
He is the Donald Trump of this country. It just spout untruths like a garden hose. A garden hose hooked up to a lying tap. And it's turned on full. And it doesn't matter how many times you try to fact-check him, because by the time you've got around to doing that, he's told 20 other things to the nation that aren't true either. And so you just become swamped, which is Donald Trump's trick. It's just a tsunami of lies that just come at you over and over again. I mean, picking a specific date in time to tell us that his regime has been better since that date, which is usually a date right in the middle of the regime's run for 13 years, which means that they, at the moment, well, whatever the issue is at hand, are simply correcting what they have done in the past. Oh, we have 20,000 more police officers than we did in 2017. Right. But 2017 was when the Tories were in power and had been in power for 7 years. So they fell until 2017, and then you pick them up. They pick the number up at 2017 to correct the problem that you yourself had caused. And you want congratulations for that. Well, here you go.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. and then they get the hump for people not being appreciative enough. This, I kind of despair. I mean, you just get to the point where you want to tune out. You just can't take it anymore. And at that point, they've won, of course. I mean, part of the plan that isn't othering minorities and making you angry at whatever it is that they are supposed to have done, whatever small difference they might have made to your life, is being magnified to make it the worst thing that has ever happened to this country, like the invasion of people on our southern shores. Yeah, that invasion, those are the people that are the problem. People beneath you on the ladder pulling you down, not the people above you on the ladder pushing you down. But it just makes you kind of weary, and you just tune out, which means that they've won because you're not paying attention anymore. I mean, I know it's tiring paying attention and trying to disprove the things that they say on a regular basis, but you have to, because otherwise, then what have you got? You just sort of give in. It's, oh, okay, I can't be bothered anymore. Have the cunt here. Take my money. Unless I'm getting any of this wrong, in which case you must correct me. Connor texts, isn't Stormy Downpours that woman that Trumpers... woman that Trumpers was sued by? Stormy Downpours. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and this is a guy who is going to be so great to women.
I will be so great to women. I cherish women.
He cherishes women.
I cherish women.
With both hands, if he can. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Don't get subsumed by the tsunami of untruths that's coming your way. You can't let them get away with it for a single solitary second. Don't develop ennui. Wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think. 0345 6060 973. This is Nick Abbott on LBC, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. It's 10:30 now. And the news headlines from Serena Farrow.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
I'm still laughing about that. Isn't Stormy Downpours that woman that Trumpers was sued by? Yeah. Normally I don't like listeners with material, but I'm going to make an exception in your case, Connor. Excellent work. Johnny says, Lindsay Hoyle, what an utter waste of space. Worse than that, in fact, complicit in allowing the worst kind of liars and cheats who are running or ruining our country to go unchecked and to be left unaccountable in public view. An active enabler in the wholesale gaslighting of our nation. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Lindsay Hoyle. I don't really see what the difference between him and a shop window dummy would be. If they just had a mannequin standing up there in a gown, what would be the difference? Would anybody notice? What's the point? I mean, if a minister can get up and then lie and lie and lie and lie and lie, and that's perfectly fine, but if another minister gets up and calls out their lies, then they get banned, what kind of a system are we running here? Bring back John Bercow. I mean, I don't really care what he did, and I do believe that if I had to bet one way or the other, I think it was a stitch-up job by the regime, who was dissatisfied that he didn't let him get away with it. But, at least he had some control and he could put up an MP in their place. Whereas Lindsay Hoyle, not so much. Let's have Ipswich. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Nick.
Dave.
How are you?
I am great, mate.
That's fantastic. First time caller this show.
Excellent. Good man.
I have such a Nick Abbott habit at the moment that I've literally watched everything available to me.
Are you standing in a wind tunnel at the moment?
Oh, sorry. Aircon.
Aircon.
Really
Aircon? Good grief. That's pretty fierce air conditioning you've got there.
Oh, I've got the phone right next to it. Sorry.
Oh, right.
I've turned it off just for you.
So what have you set the temperature at?
Oh, it's not that scientific, to be honest with you. It's just a machine with a fan on it.
Just goes cold. Yeah, colder than it is outside.
That's the one.
That sounds lovely. Now, you're not one of these people that complains about the weather, are you?
No, not really, no. I mean, no whinging or whining or moaning.
Okay, then.
Not from me.
I don't know. When you said not really, that to me sounded like a yes.
No, not at all. It could sound to you like that, but it's not. It's not a yes.
Okay, then. All right. I'll take your word for it. You're not one of these people that go, oh, it's so hot.
No. Definitely not. Definitely not. Not me.
Okay. Now, is this an air conditioning unit you have in your house?
No, it's a little tower. It's like a fan, but it's more efficient because you know how fans blow warm air around. This kind of blows cool air out.
Right. Now, efficient does sound scientific, so wow, that sounds great.
That's fantastic. Excellent.
Yeah, you've done your own research on that, have you?
Research?
Not so much.
Not so much, no. But it works, and I'm happy with it.
Great. HAPPY-ness. That's what we want more of, yeah. So, what's up, Dave?
So, I need to talk to you about something.
Yes.
Spiders.
Spiders?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, about this time last year, I was listening, and I was aware that people were ringing in about spiders. And it's that time of the year where they come into our houses and run across our floors and make us jump and stuff, isn't it?
Well,
see?
yeah,
now,
one did that just the other day. I don't know where it was going. It was making a run for something or other, and it was stopped up short, never to move again.
Did you catch it? Did you kill it?
Catch is not quite the word I'd use.
That's terrible. You know that these spiders that run across our floors this time of the year are horny males.
All the more reason to
don't leave home.
Execute them.
The males are out looking for the females.
Right. Well, they're not going to find any on my living room floor.
How do you know?
Because I've executed them too.
Well, you know, do I get to plug a hobby-stroke business on here or not?
A hobby-stroke business that's spider-related?
Yeah.
Go on, then.
Okay, so I run a page on Facebook and a YouTube channel around my hobby. It's called Suffolk Spiders. I buy, sell and breed tarantulas.
Oh, my God.
I know. Big, hairy mothers, you know. Not
Why?
Like
Why? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I used to be arachnophobic as a kid.
Yeah.
Okay? Real bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a tarantula in a pet shop, and I was kind of morbidly fascinated by it, and it got me.
No, hang on a minute. You skipped the stage there. You used to be a person that hated spiders, and then you got a tarantula as a pet. So what was the intermediate step?
Well, you see, tarantulas are more kind of, I call them horror hamsters. Whereas your English house spider is big, hairy and scary.
Yes.
And they're actually one of the fastest spiders in the world, and that's why they scare us.
Tarantulas?
Yeah. No, actual house spiders.
Oh,
that's
house
why they scare
spiders,
us.
yes.
Whereas tarantulas are quite slow. Although they're big, they get out of breath quick, so they can move quick over a slow distance, trust me. But anyway,
plus they make a hell of a mess when you bash them with a hell of a mess. You can't hear me at all. Not remotely interested in anything I'm saying. Plus, it would make a hell of a mess if you bashed it with a roll-up newspaper.
Well, it would. Yeah, it would splatter somewhat.
Oh.
Yeah. But check us out, Nick.
No.
You know, we've been helping local people. I don't want to give you homework, so no, you don't like that.
I'm certainly not going to do that. But thanks for the good advice.
helping local. But can I just say, have you seen William?
Get rid of that. Thanks a lot, mate. That was a joke too far. William Shatner, you say? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @lbc. Now, I don't want to start a long conversation about spiders, but it does appear to me that this has been a very strange year for insects. I don't recall any house flies. Now, we've had tiny little flies. I don't know what their deal is, but they don't look like baby house flies. They just look like a different kind of thing. But we've had quite a few of those, which are a little bit annoying, but, you know, you just sort of wave them away and they seem to go away and die somewhere else. Whereas house flies are just so annoying. I can't believe that there's so many of them. They're so stupid. How could they figure out a way to, do it?
Disgusting.
I've no idea how they managed to do it at all. And please don't tell me. And no photographs of any kind whatsoever, ever, on that subject. But it seems to me that there's been no house flies this year, which is really bizarre, because I would have thought that they would be among the most numerous of insects. The other thing is there's been no wasps. So there's some bizarre confluence of weather events that has created the perfect conditions for no flies and no wasps. But it does seem to me, just looking at the outside of the place that I live, that we may have a profusion of spiders.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because there seems to be a lot of those, like a lot outside. And outside is where they belong. When they come inside, big trouble, huge. I live inside, they live outside. I can also live outside, but they die inside. All spiders and clothes moths must be executed on site, no exceptions. And I don't want people from the Royal Society for the Prevention of Birds or any of those other hippie, activist, eco-mental groups ringing me up and saying that I'm being cruel to insects. Spiders don't have feelings. That's just a fact. And even if it isn't, it doesn't prevent it from being true. Ollie texts, why won't Khan let me drive my diesel Jaguar in ULEZ zones without penalty when he allows a 6.7-litre TfL diesel bus to pass through without charge? That's hypocrisy and it's not fair, whines Ollie. That sort of came and went, really, didn't it? London hasn't fallen over, people haven't starved to death, and everyone is just going about their business as normal. It started with an enormous... not an enormous number, a small number of people making an enormous racket about it. And then, just as in the centre zone, where the ULEZ charge, when it started, nothing really happened. Jay says, the terrorists on the loose used the same method as Robert De Niro in the film Cape Fear. Does this mean that they must ban the film Cape Fear from existence? I thought it went back further than that. Didn't he use the same method as they used in The Great Escape? Or Colditz? Or, some other black and white film? This is ancient. They used to have, they must still have them, a little mirror on a little trolley that they put underneath a lorry or a car to see what's underneath it. Do they not do that anymore? Can't we afford mirrors in this country? Or have they been repurposed to line Fishy Sunak's boudoir so that he can always maintain a clear view of himself? Isn't he an absolute dream?
Alexa. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Thank you for holding. Your call's important to us.
Yes, this important call in Brixton from a person called Clive. Clive.
Oh, hello. Good evening, Nick.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make you a prediction. The next time we see Mr. Khalife that managed to get out of Wandsworth, he'll be driving through the Iranian capital city in an open-air Cadillac, being hailed as a hero, with hundreds of head-slapping Iranians around him saying, and all this just for what was on the menu at Wandsworth.
And all this for just what was on the menu at Wandsworth. I don't get it.
Well,
it was a big long setup to a joke.
A spy.
Yes.
He was supposed to be a spy. Now,
right.
You see, what you have to realise is this, kid. The government has to be very careful about who they train, because they might turn against them one day, and it's now happened.
Right. What's that got to do with the menu at Wandsworth?
Well, the idea is that, he was supposed to have secrets, but, what secrets could the guy have had? He was just an ordinary soldier.
Right. But what's that got to do with the menu at Wandsworth?
Well, it might have been better than what they've got out there in Iran, mightn't it?
The menu?
Yeah. Oh, come on, Nick.
No. Okay, I may not have mentioned this, but I'm very, very sick.
Stop whining.
But I still don't get that. But you've tried to explain it to me many different ways. You've approached it from many different angles, Clive, and I'm still sitting here with a quizzical look on my face. But I wish you all the best, and thanks for the effort. Good effort, Clive. So he thinks he's going to be an Iranian hero. Well, I'm not sure about that. Because the Iranian people don't seem to like the Iranian regime that much, any more than the British people like the British regime that much.
It's the country's number one priority.
The number one priority is not liking the regime. Now, I'm not saying that the two are equal in any way, apart from in their popularity. Iranian regime, very, very unpopular. Iran is a beautiful country, full of ordinary people who just want what ordinary people want. They want to get on in life. They want to have a little bit of fun, do the disco dancing every once in a while, and have an amusing time. Live a good life. Meet somebody they really love and, spend the rest of their life with them. And it's a beautiful country. Some fabulous parts that would be tourist destinations if it wasn't for, for all of that. For all the craziness. But, not too popular with the Iranian people. It's a very, very young country as well, and they hate the leaders, the young. All you get to see in this country and in America is them burning British and American flags. But that's a tiny minority of people, and where they get our flags in Iran, I have no idea. Not a clue. Flags are us. 24 hours a day for your flag needs. Cambridge, Hassan.
Hey there, Nick. I don't know whether you saw the latest poll on London mayoral election, where Sadiq Khan's lead on the Tory candidate is now 1 point.
Oh, yeah.
Which is remarkable considering the Labour Party leads the Tories nationwide by 20 percentage points. And I would have thought London was a more progressive city because 67% of the MPs in London are Labour.
Yeah.
So I think it shows that Sadiq Khan is very vulnerable. I think he has been thrown under the bus by Starmer. I think, and I think he's also suffering from an incumbency factor where people have seen him around for 8 years.
Yeah.
People's lives are not particularly comfortable right now, and they're just blaming it on the people with the hand on the tiller.
Yeah, but he doesn't have this hand on the tiller, though, does he?
No, he doesn't, but I think he's still getting the blame for it. And I think it's just generally, people should not run for third terms. I think that's what Ken Livingstone found, and I think the Americans have it right. Executive positions should have a 2-term limit so that you actually should deliver all you want to deliver in 8 years. It's a very, very long time.
Yeah, I'm not sure that mayors are 2-term mayors, are they, in America? You can be a senator or a representative for as long as you like, and you can be a High Court justice forever until you die. In fact, after you die, you can probably still sit if they can prop you up in a chair long enough. And
nobody will notice.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
But I think what is also interesting is that if Corbyn stands, then Sadiq Khan would lose. But Corbyn has a 15-point thing at the start. So the question is, if he runs a serious campaign, can he actually overtake?
Right. Or is he just going to split the left vote and then the right, as usual with the left, they'll split the vote and then the right wing will step nimbly over their prone form and take the tape. I'd like to see Jeremy Corbyn as the mayor of London. I think that would be a good thing.
No, exactly, and especially because the way how poorly Starmer and others have treated him, I think he is perfectly justified to do this. But I think what may happen is it could actually drag Starmer kicking and screaming to the left, because right now he just doesn't care about the left wing of his support base because he's taking them for granted.
Well, I suppose so, yeah. I mean, there is a bit of that, but in much the same way as the Tories take their own traditional support for granted. But I don't think that they can justifiably claim that the Shires are in their pocket any more than the Red Wall is going to vote Labour, because people do tend to vote against their own self-interests.
No, I agree, but I think the UKIP sort of actually managed to drag the Tories much further to the right.
Yeah.
And I think what's to be seen is whether a Corbyn-led lefty party could drag Starmer to the left or not. Because the Tories, at the end of the day, they do throw a lot of red meat to their vote base. I mean, you just look at Suella Braverman. I mean, what is he doing other than just feeding the most extreme wing of the Tory party?
Right. Well, we're in complete agreement, Hassan. I can't believe it.
For fun. And never more.
All right, keep up the good work, and let me know if there's any developments. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, it's all coming to a head. Oh, my God. Next year's going to be through the roof. Exciting or terrifying? Probably both in equal measure. David says, I've read in the news tonight that David texts, I've read in the news tonight that the Legionella bacteria found on the Bibby sick home was the deadliest kind.
Oh, no.
I didn't realise there was a deadliest kind. I thought it was all deadly. I didn't really... up to this point, I didn't realise there were kinds. There's different types of Legionella bacteria? Anyway, he says, I've read that it's the deadliest kind that's on the Bibby Stockholm. Is it safer to swim in Weymouth Harbour or spend the night on the death barge? I'll say again, I was in Brighton and Hove, actually, yesterday. And, it's just such a beautiful day. It really was. But I could not believe how many people were in the water. And I've never seen so many people in the water off the coast of Brighton as I saw yesterday. It was like the whole town had decided to put his cosy on. But why would you get in the water these days? I mean, after everything you know about what is being poured in the water...
Disgusting.
I mean, I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I wouldn't even sit on the beach at, about halfway down, where water has lapped. No thanks. Not me. Tim says, I asked a Leave voter the other day for one Brexit benefit. He shouted at me and said we can send people to Rwanda now. Yeah, that's about right, yeah. A Brexit benefit. I mean, I could do the rest of the show on that one question, but I know I wouldn't get the answers, so what would be the point? There aren't any Brexit benefits. Brexit benefits, zero. They do not exist. Apart from this...
We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away.
Straight away. We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away. And if you say it like that, then it comes with a certain sense of authority. And people in this country believe what you say. It's painful. Chris says... I always knew austerity would come back around and bite the Tory party, but, to be honest, I didn't think it would be because of suspected terrorist double-agent ex-squaddy escapees. Funny old world, says Chris. Yeah, funny as in not amusing. Zach says, not that Zach, I'm guessing. Another one. As unlikely as that sounds. Two Zachs. Zach number 2 texts, why is Rishi Sunak blaming the concrete crisis on Keir Starmer, not telling him if he was any more fishy, we'd be underwater? That just about takes the biscuit, doesn't it? Keir Starmer is to blame for the concrete crisis because he didn't bring it to Rishi Sunak's attention. I mean, he's not gripping it at all.
I'm gripping it.
I stand corrected. Rishi Sunak is, in fact, gripping it. What it is in this case, I couldn't possibly tell you. Andy says, kids today don't know how good they've got it. When I was a kid, the best chance we had of a random day off school was if we were lucky enough to get a couple of inches of snow in December. These days, there's a 50-50 chance that the school will collapse before they even get there in the morning. And this government actually sent out a message that said most schools are unaffected.
What?
Most. So, fingers crossed, parents, that your kids aren't going to die in a building collapse when you send them off to school in the morning, because most schools are unaffected. Isn't that comforting?
No.
Not really, no. What kind of morons are we dealing with here? Most schools are unaffected. It's like Russian roulette. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hello.
So they opened their big mouths, and out came talk. Talk.
Mike Yarwood. So that was him. Yeah, I used to watch Mike Yarwood. Funny stuff. But, we didn't have anything else to choose from. So if you didn't want to watch the BBC One or ITV, then pretty much you got nothing. There was no such thing as an internet back in those days, kids.
What?
I know, you believe it. North Carolina, Graham.
I never know where to start with you, Nick, but today you're cracking on your prime minister.
Yeah.
You never crack on Biden, and I think one time you said because he's so boring. Yeah. But he's at 39%. So I wonder if you've ever contemplated a list of the worst leaders in the world. Is there a good leader anywhere? Too late.
I mean, some leaders are doing better than others. Let's put it like that.
Some chieftain on some island with indigenous people, maybe.
Yeah.
But none of the first worlders, I'll tell you. The other thing, immigration. Now, you were talking the other day about 7,000. I think last week you had 7,000 boat people and people crashing the gates over there. We got 7 million. 7 million. Okay, I know it's a big place.
Yeah.
It's a big place.
Mm-hmm.
But that builder's language is upset that the governor of Texas is sending gate crashers to New York, and now New York is begging Biden for money. It's a dog chasing its tail. I think it's crazy.
It's going to get much, much worse, Graham. As soon as the consequences of climate change kick in, there's going to be hundreds of millions of people on the move.
Well, they're all going to move to Maine. Maine's a very cheap place to buy a home, and my brother is buying a property there because it's colder. But, I don't know if that's going to help much. Did I hear just a minute ago that there's going to be 50 Celsius in England?
50?
50? Was that right?
No. I think
that can't be.
I think maybe you have waxy buildup. I'm going to send you some Q-tips in the post.
But, with regard to Brighton, I've been to Brighton and I've been to the whole seacoast on the English coast.
Yeah.
Why not the Hebrides? Is the water clean in the Hebrides? But then it's so cold.
Yeah, nobody would go in the... You'd have to be out of your mind to go in the water in the Hebrides.
Don't they surf up there?
No. Seals, maybe. Not human beings.
Very thick wetsuits.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry you're not feeling well. You tell everybody you're feeling great. So
yeah.
You got some malaise going on. You got the glass out of your throat from 2 weeks ago?
Whichever way it happened, it passed without incident.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
We won't go into that.
No, that's absolutely right, yeah. Okay,
like
keep
going
up the
to the
good work, Graham, and as soon as you come up with something from Biden Watch, I want you to let me know straight away, all right?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. From North Carolina, let's go to Zurich, which I do believe is in a place called Switzerland. Neil.
Good afternoon, good evening. Hello, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'm ringing in. I heard this morning the Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, talking about the prison break and then alluding to the fact that he thinks that the Conservatives have got prison breaks down to a massively low figure and that Labour were 10 times worse than the government.
Yes,
and
which is more mistruths from the regime.
Indeed. When I looked at it, looked at the stats that the government produced themselves, you see that, in 2008, there were sort of like 4 breaks. That was under Labour. Mm-hmm. And in 2010, just before Labour handed over to the Conservatives, there were 2 prison breaks.
Yeah.
And in the last sort of administration, we've been having 2 to 3 a year. So
it's much worse than that, Neil. You have only done a part of your relevant and set research project. You get an F, I'm afraid, because when Blair's Labour Party took over in 2017, there were almost, and this is after 13 years of Tory misrule, there were 90 prison breaks a year, 90, and that came down under Labour from 90 to 19 within 3 years, and then down to 2 in 2010 when the Tories took over, and you'll be unsurprised to learn the numbers started to go up again.
Which figures are you looking at? Because I'm looking at the figures from the UK Gov, and I see that John Major had 52 breaks in 95, 96.
90 prison breaks just before 2017 when the Labour Party took over. 90.
Well, what's your source then, Nick?
Well, it's the UK government figures.
Oh, well, that's interesting, because I'm looking at the same figures. I don't get those.
Well, maybe you should go to Specsavers.
Maybe I will. Have I got a voucher? But the thing is...
Just tell them that I sent you, and they will give you a pair of glasses at the regular price.
I'll hold on for that then. But are we letting the Foreign Secretary get away with mistruths, or does anybody challenge these?
Nobody checks. Nobody's remotely bothered. They just spout this stuff, noise and numbers signifying nothing. Are they getting away with it?
Oh, I can't live with that. Nick, I'll have to go to Specsavers.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot, mate. It's from the land of the cuckoo clock. Switzerland. You believe that? What does Switzerland do for a living, apart from what we do, essentially? Whitewash the ill-gotten gains of the international criminal super-rich. Apart from that, what do they do? 0345 6060 973. Maidenhead, hello, Paul.
Hello, Nick. Hope you're well.
Yes, thanks.
Well, this is quite surreal because there's only 2 points. We're talking about Fishy Sunak and spiders.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Can you relate those two?
I want to put spiders all over him. Then send him off to the jungle.
Okay.
But what it is, when you were saying earlier about how small, because I'm a tailor, so he's got about a 34-inch chest or something, and you were saying his head's too big for his body.
Have you ever seen shoulders that small? I mean, no offence, he doesn't have any shoulders at all. He's just got neck. He's got neck all the way down to his waist.
Yeah, but the thing that you have forgotten is his ears. I mean, his ears are going to weigh his head down as well.
Well, at least they keep his... I mean, at least they're not bigger on one side than the other. I mean, they are balanced, so he can maintain an upward posture.
Hilarious. And he's fishing. Well, he's like, you've got the obstacle. Say you're a fish. You've got your obstacles in the river, which are society, everything, people, opening your ears, which he doesn't do, obviously, and he just swims around them. It's a great term for him, Fishy Sunak.
Yes.
And you won't get spiders in the river. But what you've got to do, if you're scared of spiders, because I don't like them, I'm like you, I'm like...
Yeah.
And you can get this thing called Spider Stopper, and just sprinkle it around. It does help.
Now, is that as useless as putting conkers in the corner of your room? Because that doesn't work.
No, that does not work. I tried that. Yeah. That does not work, Nick. It does not work. No, you can get a powder or a spray and you can do that. Those blooming things, when they come in,
Somebody sent me a spider picker-upper. It's like a grabby hand, but it's all fingers, little sort of like plastic filaments of fingers, and they open up if you pull the trigger on the end of this like sort of 2 foot long stick.
Like a little,
And it's like that stuff that litter picker-uppers use, kind of like that. And then it closes around. I imagine. It closes around the spider, and then you can take it outside and teach it a damn good lesson.
Are you going to talk to the spider first?
No, I'm going to send a strong message.
All spiders should be put in Fishy Sunak's ear, so then he's not listening anyway, so it doesn't really matter, and then we'll be spider-free.
Well, that is an interesting idea, and perhaps we can monetize it. I want you to get the funding for it, Paul, and then any profits will split 50-50. What do you say?
I'll say yes. I agree with that.
Okay, excellent work. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. By this time next year, we'll be millionaires. Chris says, after Gillian Keegan tweeted that most schools unaffected this week, perhaps the Justice Secretary should have tweeted most prisoners still in prison. I mean, it's just extraordinary. The way they continue to shower us with the opposite of the truth. Michelle Donnellan, MP, said this last week, in terms of what we're doing to address the frontline staff in our prisons, we've actually increased by 20% in the last year the number of frontline prison officers. That's not true. The Ministry of the Ministry of Justice, says that this figure refers to the increase in the headcount number of officers appointed in the year to June 2023 compared to the previous year. It doesn't factor in those who have left. The overall increase in the number of full-time equivalent officers was not 20%, 3.2%.
What?
Yeah. Now, I'm no maths expert, but 3.2 is a lot lower than 20. It's the same thing as Fishy Sunak said that we've reduced crime by 50%. Chris Philp, he went out and said the exact same bloomin' thing. It's like they get fed this tripe and then they go and just regurgitate it over us on TV or the radio, regardless of what the question is that they've been asked. Oh, well, under our administration, we've increased fabulousness by approximately 110%. 110%.
I am totally 100% on it.
Or just 100% in his case, because that's all he thinks we're worth. Even footballers give 110%. Fishy Sunak just 100. Crime is 50% lower than it was when we took office, says Fishy Sunak. Liar! No, it isn't. It's only 50% lower if you take out about half of crime. Then it is lower. But it's not 50% lower, it's 50% higher if you include all of crime. It's specifically based on that claim, the data from the crime survey for England and Wales, which does not count fraud. Which I suspect since the COVID pandemic, when people couldn't go out and commit actual other physical crime, they were repurposing their criminal behaviour to rip you off online or on the phone. Fraud. Fraud accounts for about 4.4 million out of 9 million total offences. It's about half. So they only got crime is 50% lower by ignoring half of all crime. That is the level of misinformation that is coming our way. And it just goes completely unquestioned. They lay down these untruth bombs and then just waltz away because they know that their interviewer can't actually check this in real time. I mean, that's their trick. They learn a bunch of spurious statistics, and then they just fill the air with noise and numbers, signifying nothing, and waltz away after 5 minutes because they know that the time is up on TV and radio. And then they go and spat the same bunch of lies on some other format. Crime is 50% lower than it was when we took office, said Rishi Sunak on the 3rd of May this year. Not true. Only true if you discount half of all crime, which is fraud. And yet he said it with a straight face. Now, either he's stupid or he's lying to us and he thinks we're stupid. Which is extraordinary, really, because, I mean, the very first thing he said was...
This government will have integrity, professionalism and accountability at every level.
I don't think that there's a Prime Minister in the history of this country that has overseen more refusals of freedom of information requests than Rishi Sunak. I mean, he's barely had his tiny knees under the desk for about 5 minutes, and already he's number one. Accountability, that's the last thing that he represents. And as for integrity, how can anybody, with a straight face, tell the public that crime is 50% lower than when we took office, but only get to that figure when you discount half of all crime? I mean, what kind of a person is this guy? And pretty much every single thing he says, you could make the same argument on. We recruited 20,000 additional police officers in England and Wales. Yeah, but he forgot about the part where they lost 22,000 police officers. So it's not 20,000 additional ones. It's fixing the problem that they caused in the first place. Over and over and over again. But he's, look at his little eyes and his cute little bouncy way he has, his demeanour, this eager little puppy. Oh, isn't he an absolute dream? But a little bit too much gel in the hair.
You don't need to put all of that product in your hair. You just don't.
LBC. Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
What in places goes on inside that head of yours?
Tessa texts, Tory Minister Michelle Donnellan described Wandsworth escapee Daniel Khalif as having gone above and beyond, which sounds like something we should aspire to. I don't know what to think anymore, says Tessa. Best you don't think, Tessa. Just don't think. The regime does not want you to think, which is the case on this side of the pond and the other.
I love the poorly educated.
Yeah, it seems to be the plan. Keep us all poorly educated. And if that is the plan, then it's going very, very well. Very well. Very well indeed. I mean, they've managed to poorly educate the current generation, and as for the next generation that are currently going through school, well, they're screwed. You ain't got no school no more. School's fallen down. Yeah, never mind, eh? But don't despair. You'll be able to spend the rest of your life as a minimum wage drone on no contracts. Let's have Witten. Hello, Sean.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Abbott, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I can't believe I've been on 45 minutes waiting to speak about houseflies to you, but here you go. That's life, isn't it? You got me riled. I've got houseflies. Why haven't you?
I don't know. I mean, ordinarily, in the summer months, you open a window and you're going to get a housefly in immediately. They know how to get in. They just don't know how to get out. They're so stupid.
Here's the thing. I have houseflies, and lots of them. They come in. I open window, shut the other. They come through the door. They come in again.
Yeah.
But you know, and this, I don't know whether this is just luck or whatever. If you have a housefly in the room and you open a window and you say get out, try it. It goes out.
No.
I don't know how, but it does. Try it.
I don't think so.
It flies out the window. I've tried it. I don't know. It seems to... Is it vibrations or something? But it seems to understand. Try it. And here's another thing.
Definitely not going to try that. Yeah,
here's
and another thing.
If you can hit a housefly with a rolled-up newspaper, you deserve a medal. Do you know, if you look in we went to a museum last week with my children, and you have a lens you can put on your eye, and you can see like a housefly. They see about 20 of you.
Yes.
They have this. So they have 20 rolled-up newspapers coming towards them.
Right.
Have you ever tried? It's really hard to catch them, to kill them, isn't it?
You need a special instrument, Sean. You need the bat of death.
Affirmative.
You need the Terminator bat.
Affirmative.
Yeah, it's true. Have you ever?
The amount of times they're there on the counter. They're there on the counter.
Yeah.
They land, and then you've got the newspaper.
Yeah.
You look, and you think, this is so easy.
Easy.
You lift the newspaper up. As soon as you lift it up, it flies away.
It's gone away, yeah. There's a different type of housefly that's even worse than that, because the housefly that we're talking about will just go away. But there's a type of housefly that seems to have, like, ninja responses, and it can just describe a circle around the incoming paper and land back exactly where it was.
Yes. Well, my 6-year-old came up to me the other day, and she said, Daddy, why did God invent houseflies? And I didn't know what to say, Nick. I don't know. Why did he make houseflies?
Right. Tell her to shut up and get back in the kennel.
On the Ark, were there 2 houseflies?
Probably.
Noah's Ark.
I don't know. If they had horses on there, there'd probably been way more houseflies.
But what are they for? Why are they houseflies? What do they do?
Well, I think they're bird food, apart from anything else.
Really?
Yeah, they have a purpose.
Well, do you know what? I'd rather have houseflies in my kitchen than Biden or Fishy Sunak. Wouldn't you? Would you?
Well, I suppose so. I mean, you could. It would be pretty tough to bash Joe Biden to death with a rolled-up newspaper. I mean, you could try.
It'd probably be harder to get him out the door.
In fact, if you're even really allowed to say that out loud on the radio, I think it'll take them a while to get here, but American forces will be bursting through windows, spraying gunfire all over the place just as soon as they can locate where I'm speaking from. All right, thanks a lot, Sean. Thanks for waiting. Very, very important news.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
All right, thanks, mate. 0345 6060 973. No, you need the Terminator bat.
Correct.
Trust me when I tell you, it's the only thing that actually works with a housefly, and it can work with any other kind of insect that you like. So satisfying, especially with clothes moths, because I don't know what a clothes moth is. Some sort of invisible cloaking device that it has. You can see it when it's on the wall, but as soon as you approach it and it takes off, it just disappears. Where does it go? And it becomes impossible to catch. The only way to get it is to catch it while it's on the wall, and the only way to do that is with the Terminator bat, which is like a tennis racket, but it's got a battery in the handle, and it lights it up with electricity. And you can swipe a housefly out of the air with it. It'll kill a clothes moth, most certainly. Often with a very satisfying crack and a pop. Yeah, I know. Clothes moths are people too, fascist. No, they aren't. Plus my woolies. But houseflies, they don't kill them, they stun them. So, if you are of a hippie persuasion, then you can pick them up and throw them outside, or place them outside carefully on a leaf. Whatever you like. But it does knock them right out of the air, and it stuns them a bit. They think, oh, blimey, what was that? The death bat. Terminator bat. I would get one if I were you. I'd get 2. Or multiple ones, one for each room. Always know where they are in case of an emergency. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Brighton. Hello, Ben.
Oh, hello, Nick. Thank you so much for taking the call.
Hey, Ben, were you on the beach yesterday?
I was not on the beach yesterday, but thank you for asking. I wasn't on the beach.
You would not believe how many people were on the beach and in the water off Brighton yesterday. I've never seen
I can believe it. You know why? Because my council block, overlooks directly the beach. So I was looking directly over the beach.
Amazing, wasn't it? So many people. It was packed.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I loved it. I mean, it's fantastic that people still love our city. And I'm not that I'm a native of this city, but I feel like a native now.
I maintain it's the best day out. That's an hour from London on the train.
I'll tell you what, if you're ever down here, give me a bell. I will take you to a couple of decent boozers.
A bell?
There will obviously be Londoners boozers.
I'm absolutely not going to do that, Ben, but thanks for the offer.
Okay, but that's fine. That's fine. I never expected you to do it anyway. I was going to make one quite serious point about Wandsworth Prison, which is near where I grew up. The really alarming thing to me about this escape is not actually the escape. It's the fact that it's brought into relief that they were 2/3 understaffed.
Yes.
And that,
with about double the number of prisoners that they should have.
Yeah. So you've got this crazy situation where young boys and I was, because I work in security, the thing that no one wants to do is prison work, because essentially you're paid minimum wage and it's extremely dangerous.
Right.
You're far better off doing retail or
anything else,
or just basically nightclub work. I mean, that nightclub work's actually quite well paid, and you don't actually get hurt that much.
Yeah.
This thing where, and there was a guy, one of your colleagues actually was interviewing earlier on, that was talking about when he was in prison in Wandsworth, and he said he would see these guys coming in, these prison officers, and he said they were so young, they were like 18, 19 years old.
Right.
They were being paid minimum wage, and they looked like they were wearing Halloween costumes. Like they look, but the prison costumes they wear. They get 9 weeks training, by the way. These guys, nothing at all. Yeah.
No.
And they're supposed to be looking after very, very, very potentially very violent people.
Yeah.
And they're just fearful. They're just afraid.
Well, as you would be.
Of course, yeah. I mean, this is. By the way, if you're not afraid of this kind of stuff, then no one wants to work with you anyway, because you're clearly not
deranged,
right in the head.
Yeah.
You have to be afraid, a little bit afraid, just to be able to react in the right way.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself, like, this is what's the big problem is not the escape. It's actually the fact that we do not have enough people to man these prisons. I then thought about this on the back of what's been happening recently, this kind of whole narrative, if you like, which doesn't actually take much. I mean, even a nitwit like me could construct this narrative that everything is collapsing.
Everything is collapsing.
And everything is collapsing.
Yeah.
And you think about this, well, the schools are collapsing, the NHS is collapsing, the prisons are collapsing, and it's years and years and years of underinvestment.
And you have to figure out, how is this Jeremy Corbyn's fault? They're going to find a way, don't you worry about that. Here, Ben, I've got to go because time's against me, but thanks for that.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Hang about, Nick. Listen, now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Simon says, whenever I hear Sunak speak, I just feel so numb. It's like trudging through treacle. Has anyone ever been so bereft of personality? I'd rather be poor and human than rich and be him. How can he appreciate anything he has if he's so vanilla, says Simon. Yeah, if you didn't actually know, you might think he was some sort of chat GPT creation, that he's not actually human, they've digitaled him in. He's kind of like a marionette. Somebody called Thunderbirds, they've got a puppet missing. Steve says, I wonder if Fishy Sunak's puppy dog eyes and bounce you described comes from his arrogance and feeling of invincibility from having more money than he knows what to do with. Yeah, arrogance, I think. What are his qualifications to do this job, by the way? I mean, does anybody have any idea? I mean, I know that nobody voted for him to do this job. He seemed to just get it because we'd gone through the list of anybody else that had a chance at the top job. We scraped through the bottom of the barrel, and there he was.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
Yeah, okay. You still got that the wrong way around, mate. Still, never mind. We live to serve. 0345 6060 973. Brighton. Hello, James.
Hi.
Hey, James.
Charlie. Peanut. Woodstock. And Snoopy. School. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
I have no idea what that means. But, you know, he's in Brighton, and Brighton is the centre for UK weirdness. I think that is true. One of my favourite things to do in Brighton is to sit outside a particular pub on the lanes and just to watch the passing parade, because it is a passing parade of the most fabulously strange people you'll ever see in your life. And I appreciate every single one of them, because they do make an effort, it seems, to be weird-looking in Brighton. I mean, you see a lot of tourists, right enough, and they look normal-ish in their, dreadful beige, shapeless clothes. But then the Brighton Massive will parade down there, and I don't know, they all look like they're going to the circus or some sort of cabaret performance or something like that. And I suspect that some of them just parade up and down just to get looked at. You know, they go out for their daily perambulate. And I'm there with a pint in my hands watching them go by. I think it's just a great day out. It really is. Steve said, I read that. Jasper says, I don't think working from home is a good idea for prison officers. Yeah, James Cleverly is the Foreign Secretary. Yeah, can you believe that? James Cleverly is the Foreign Secretary, and Grant Shapps is the Secretary of Defence.
Oh, no.
What could possibly go right? My God, we're lucky to be alive. But both Cleverly and Sunak said that prison breaks were 10 times higher than under Labour. Wrong. Not than under Labour, 10 times higher under Labour, which is completely incorrect in every respect. I mean, there is a problem, because if you just look at the graph, the statistics, Labour inherited a huge problem from the Tories and brought it down in much the same way as they inherited a huge debt from the Tories, and they brought that down in much the same way as they inherited a dismal service from the NHS, and they improved that, and the same with the schools, and et cetera, and so on. Which really makes it infuriating that people were still calling as to excuse the regime's dismal failure on every aspect of our lives, and say, well, wouldn't be better under Labour, would it? Yes, it justifiably, you can say that it would be, because it has been before, last time. Do you remember? Nothing. You know, was it last week or the week before? I asked the question, what have the Conservatives actually managed to give us after 13 years of constant 100% control of this country, and spending something of the order of £1.5 trillion, because they took over a debt of 1 trillion and it's now 2.5 trillion. Where the hell's the money gone? I asked. What have they actually done that's positive to this country? And in 3 hours, plus a couple of hours here and there on the following show, I got nothing in response. I mean, a few people made a bit of an effort, but we really couldn't come up with a single solitary thing that they'd done. I'm not going to do that again, because, what would be the point? Nothing has improved over the last week, as far as I'm aware. It's just got worse. Now we know that not only the schools are falling down, but the courts are falling down, and the airport buildings are falling down, and the police stations are falling down. And am I missing anything? Oh, yeah, the hospitals.
Oh, no.
The hospitals are falling down. So if you get injured in a building failure, they can't take you to hospital because that's falling down too. And all the Conservative Party seem to be doing is fretting about how to blame this on Keir Starmer. It's absolutely staggering. So Cleverly and Sunak said that prison breaks were 10 times higher under Labour. But when Blair's Labour Party took over in 2017, there were about 90 prison breaks per year. 90. That came down under Labour to 19 within 3 years and stood at 2 in 2010 when the Tories took over, when the numbers went back up again. Of course they did. And, this is exactly what they're going to do if they lose the next election. Blame the incoming Labour government for everything the Conservatives have done to this country over the previous 14 years. And I know that that's true because they're doing it now. Blaming the incoming Labour government of Tony Blair in 1997 for everything that he inherited from 13 years of Thatcherism. They just did that just now. Rishi Sunak. Unquestioned in Parliament. Just spewing out the misinformation, but you're not allowed to say that. You can lie and lie and lie. Ain't that right, boys?
I can't comment on that.
But you're not allowed to call the liar a liar, because that's beyond the pale. Good grief. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Jasper says... no, read that. Ian says, be honest, please. Sunak was awarded the poison chalice by Truss, who was promoted beyond her ability, and Johnson promoted who could not lie straight in bed. Sunak was awarded the poison chalice by Truss?
Absolutely.
As though he has nothing to do with any decision that he makes personally? About any of the untruths that he peddles? Not his fault? Always somebody else's fault? Do me a favour. I mean, he might be child-sized, but he's an actual grown-up. Glasgow. Scott.
Oh, hello, Nick. Just disagreeing with something you said earlier regarding if you don't keep up with the news and everything like that, the rulers will pull the wool over your eyes. I used to do that. I used to ring out BC all the time. Every minute I would look at every bit of the news. I spend 10 hours a day. I used to ring LBC all the time. It got to the point where only you would accept my call on LBC, and that still is the way now. So you may remember me, you may not. I don't know. You get millions of calls, don't you? So anyway, right. So I used to do all that. I used to drink all the time as well. I used to ring in, which probably made a more entertaining call. I'm drinking chamomile tea now, so it's not great, this material, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to do all that. I don't do it now. So, I think the delivery itself, I think the spell, I want to get too spooky, I think the spell itself is in the delivery. Like, you listen to the news, and like a Sunak, like all them, it washes over you. You know there's no regulation. You know there's no opposition. You know it's all criminal. You know all this is going on. So all that you're ending up with is that you feel powerless and you feel more depressed.
Yes.
So that's why I disagree with that you should keep up with it. I've removed myself from it. Hence, I don't ring up anymore. I'm glad you said that. My brother Ray, he said I should listen to it. So here I am. He likes you.
Right.
And I do as well, Nick. That's why it upsets me so when you do your thing.
Well, let me maybe qualify what it was that I meant. It does get a bit overwhelming to listen to, exactly as you say, to listen to all these lies, to see in plain sight these people getting away with unbelievable criminality. I mean, some of the biggest heists in the history of money have been perpetrated on the good people of this country just recently. And nothing seems to be being done about it at all. They're totally getting away with it. They're not even trying to cover it up anymore. They're just doing it in plain sight, telling us that they're robbing from us while they're doing it.
Nick, exactly that. They're not trying to cover it. It was almost like a unique... That is exactly why I don't listen now.
Untouchable.
In the old days, the Tories, would try everything they could to cover up the corruption.
That's right,
That's the reason I don't listen to it now, because now they're using the corruption to deflate you, to make you feel depressed, to make you feel helpless.
It's what would Donald Trump do. Exactly right. But
that's why I don't listen
Let me qualify it. But if you disengage...
Which I have.
Yeah, okay. What that means is you are less likely to vote, which is precisely what they want.
No, if you vote, then you're to blame for that. Take away. There is no voting. Nick, doesn't make a difference.
Oh no! I just will not hear that, Scott. You have to vote. If the perfect party does not exist for your requirements, then pick the least bad option.
No.
Yes.
The last time I voted was for Jeremy Corbyn. Now, I know what happened, a lot of what happened behind the scenes, because I know Tommy Corbyn. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything like, I was betraying confidence here, but I know a lot of what went on behind the scenes, right? So, and I know from following it what went on. So I know there's no point in voting. I know.
No, Scott, you're talking about... No, wait. You're talking about one specific incident in the past that you are now extrapolating to encompass all voting. The truth of it is, though...
It's rigged.
It may be rigged, but it can only stay rigged if people like you don't vote. If you vote, then it might not, in your lifetime, result in the ideal government. But by small increments, the future will get better if you vote what I would call the right way. If you vote the wrong people out or against the wrong people, then eventually the tide will turn. It might not happen immediately, but what good things do?
Gerrymandering, right? That's just one of the things they do.
Right.
They will rig areas where they don't get their vote.
But it sounds like you're giving up, which is what they want.
I'm not giving up. I'm putting my energy into different things. As I say, I don't want to get too spooky on this. I don't want to get some witches and stuff. But I think there is something kind of in that, even if it's just I wouldn't be surprised if it is spells as well. But the psychological aspect of it, if you remove yourself from it, then they can't. Yeah, okay, I'm going to mention the name now. David Icke. Yeah.
Oh.
David Icke said. I know. That's why. He said. But the only way you can beat them is to be happy. Now, there's a lot of truth in that.
No, the only way listen to me. The only way you can beat them is to vote. That is the only way. Being happy is neither here nor there. Being happy is just ignoring the truth that is around you. I mean, if you can genuinely be happy with the way things are going in your life, then that's great. But most people aren't. Most people do not have a glorious, wonderful, perfect life. Some people do, but most don't. But the only way that it can improve, and the only way that you can beat the gerrymandering, and the only way you can beat the constant tsunami of lies and untruths and misinformation and distraction techniques like, oh, look, there's a dinghy, or it'll be... the National Trust is the enemy of the people, and whatever it is next week, benefit cheats. It's just on a tight little circle, around and around and around they go, picking on the same people. The only way to change that is to vote. Now, you will not find the perfect party at the next election to vote for. Doesn't exist. But you could find the least bad option, and then the parallel lines of our existence will diverge slightly. And at first, you won't notice the difference between those two lines. But after a while, even a slight angle of difference between the parallel lines equates to a large difference between them. Just wait a while. But you must vote. And to say that I'm putting my energies into other things, for crying out loud, it's a 100-yard walk down to the school at the end of your road once every 5 years. I mean, how much energy have you got? But thanks a lot, Scott. Keep on keeping on.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Shut up.
I can't. 0345 6060 973. Ladbroke Grove. Olive.
Hello. Hi, hello.
Olive.
Hi, hello, hi. Oh, gosh, I was talking to your producer, and there is so many different aspects, in all this. But at the end of the day, what I'm finding interesting is that, we voted these people over and over again. Mm-hmm. And, we listen to those manifestos and pledges and, and then they get into power and then they do nothing.
Oh, so, no, that's not true. They've done plenty.
Oh, God. I used to work in health and social care, and when Tories got into power, when they got this new, changes and cuts, I felt that for me, it's impossible to work under these conditions. So I left the job.
Right. And when you say we vote them in over and over again, we is a minority of the people, because over and over again, the Tories get 100% of the power by achieving less than 50% of the vote. It's just that the left-leaning vote is just split among multiple parties, whereas if you're a right-winger, then you pretty much just got the Tories, particularly now as they seem to have lurched even further to the right.
You know what, you're right, actually, because most of the people, they were not voted. They were just, but don't you think that there should be some kind of a system that people should be, politicians should be taken accountable for? If they don't do things, that they pledge to do it,
Well, they're supposedly accountable by having an election every 5 years, but it usually results in the Tories getting 100% of the power with less than 50% of the vote.
You know, I came to live in London in 2000, so the Labour was in power. And I had a situation with my ex-husband, you know, and I have to... I've never been in this country before. I moved from Greece. We had a child. And I just didn't know what to do. So my GP helped me, and I found out that I could get a place and that I could get support to get out of this situation. I couldn't believe it. So as soon as I got out of the situation, I applied to study, I finished my degree, and I got a job. But I had support every step of the way as a single mother.
Right.
But 5 years ago, I had a chemo treatment in 2017, so after that, I ended up, you know, unemployed again. There was nothing. I mean, it seems that this system, you know, is designed to keep the people stuck, you know, in this vicious cycle. So, although, you know, I kind of like, I can't say that you know, I prefer any politician to other, you know, to me, as long as, you know, they're supporting people and then doing, you know, what they're supposed to do. It's like a marriage, you know, it's like a marriage, and every side's supposed to be doing, you know, it is. Because they should be providing, you know, the conditions for, you know, I know that I can go, if I'm ill, that I will get, you know, health care, that I know that I have good transport.
You don't know that anymore, Olive. Do not get ill in this country. It's just don't do it.
It took me sometimes more than 2 hours from Ladbroke Grove to travel to work in Lewisham, Deptford.
Well, I don't know what method of transport you're using there, Olive, but walk faster.
I know, or cycle.
Oh, you cycle, right.
Yeah, well, I try. But definitely, you know, people should be more involved in the politics and have a better understanding of what is it that they're promising to us.
Correct, yes. At the very least, you must vote. Everybody must vote. And by utilising the wisdom of crowds, can we still say that? No, the wisdom of a large number of people. By small increments, things will get better. It absolutely will not get better if you do not vote. That much is absolutely true. Please tell me that you vote.
More involved in what's going on in our communities.
Exactly. Wake up, sheeple. It's later than you think. Thanks a lot, Olive. 0345 6060 973. Steve texts... He's a rich, entitled product of the public school system that has been taught that he is born to rule. Why on earth should he think that he needs to tell the truth to us?
The little people.
The little people, not leprechauns. Tom says, did you hear the Conservative Party chairman Greg Hands accusing Labour of running things badly with other people's money in regards to the bankruptcy of Birmingham City Council? The Tories' level of delusion is incredible. They're not deluded. They're just lying to us all the time, and they're disseminating misinformation when they're not lying. When they're not flat out lying, they're obscuring the truth. I mean, to actually say out loud, as Rishi Sunak did this week, Labour have bankrupted Birmingham, we can't let them bankrupt Britain, rather obviates the truth about the councils in this country, which appear to be all on the verge of, if not having already gone, bust. I mean, the number of Tory councils that are on the verge of or have already gone bust is at least equal to the Labour councils, with less reason for them having done that, because the Conservative Central Office has defunded councils as part of their austerity drive, which was supposedly to right the shaky ship. How's that gone, by the way?
Dreadful.
Yeah, terrible. They're supposed to have saved all that money in order to put us on an even keel, and we're in a worse state now than when they started. We owe more money now than when they started austerity, which was supposedly to balance the books, and we were in a worse state now than before they did that, with all the misery that has been that has followed from that. They've achieved zero. I mean, they spent £1.5 trillion, but nobody knows what they spent it on. I mean, we've got absolutely no idea. Where's the money gone? They haven't spent it on the schools, they haven't spent it on the NHS, they haven't spent it on the police, they haven't spent it on the courts, they haven't spent it on the roads, they definitely haven't spent it on the councils or on the care system. Where's it gone? 1.5 trillion pounds. I mean, that's a number that's so big, I've got absolutely no idea what it is. I can visualise a billion because I've looked it up, but what a trillion looks like, I've no idea. In fact, that might be... I might set myself that task during the course of this news break. What does a pile of £10 notes to amount to £1 trillion look like? And then we can figure out exactly how much of it that they've just disappeared into thin air. So I might do that during the course of this news break. Homework.
On your radio, on Global Player, and...
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Yeah!
Who do you think you're talking to?
Myself, most of the time. Okay, £1.5 trillion. If we still had a £1 note, and I know we don't, but if we did, and there are different measurements and different results of this, but more or less, if you piled £1 notes on top of each other to make 1.5 trillion, it would reach 130,000 miles into space. 130,000 miles of £1 notes. That's what they've lost. I mean, when I say lost, I would imagine that they know where a significant amount of it is, but we don't. What have they done with it? Nobody has any idea. That's a remarkable thing. How can you chew through £1.5 trillion and not have anything to show for it? I mean, you think that some of it would have got over us. It's like they're spraying money out like it's connected to a garden hose. But we're not getting wet from any of it. 1.5 trillion. And they have the nerve to criticise the Labour Party for not taking care of the public's purse. Rishi Sunak said, Labour have bankrupted Birmingham, we can't let them bankrupt Britain. Woking Council have an income of 16 million, but the Conservative Council in Woking created £1.8 billion of debt. They have an income of 16 million, but a debt of 1.8 billion. So according to Rishi Sunak's logic, we can't trust the Conservative government because they have a Conservative council that has an income of 16 million a year, but created a 1.8 billion pound debt. In 2010, the Tories took over, the debt was 1.2 trillion, now it's 2.3. Okay, so it's not 1.5 trillion, but it's 1.1 trillion extra. They doubled the national debt, essentially. And what have we got for it? What have we got for it? Because absolutely nothing is better now than it was before. No, don't get me started on that. I've done that before, done it to death, and nobody could come up with an answer. What's better? There ain't nothing. The Conservative Party have added over £1 trillion to our national debt, and they have not built anything with it. Bankrupt councils who have declared Section 114 notices, which is to stop all new spending with the exception of protecting vulnerable people and statutory services. Thurrock Council, Northumberland Council, Northamptonshire Council. Conservative, Conservative, Conservative. So he's got some nerve standing up in Parliament and saying that Labour have bankrupted Birmingham Council, we can't let them bankrupt Britain, when there's at least 3 Conservative councils who've done the exact same thing. And there are councils in difficulty in Nottinghamshire and Kent and Hampshire, which are run by the Conservatives, and the Conservatives in that order. At least 26 councils in some of Britain's most deprived areas are at risk of bankruptcy within the next couple of years. This is according to a leading local government group which says many authorities simply have nothing left. And the reason? They've been defunded by the Conservative Party. Britain's local government network has been shaken by a string of financial collapses in the past 2 years, says The Guardian, starting with Slough and followed by Croydon and Thurrock and most recently Woking, with an announced deficit of £1.2 billion in June after a risky investment spree. Now, I maintain that councils have had to go on risky investment sprees because the money that they have had from central government has dried up. and they still have, people to take care of, bins to empty, roads to fix, etc., and so on, libraries to open, swimming pools to heat, or to close down, in both cases. So we've got Slough, Croydon, Thurrock, Woking. This quartet could only be the tip of the iceberg, according to a survey of 47 councils in northern England, the Midlands and the South Coast, which revealed mounting anxiety that rising costs will blow irreparable holes in budgets that fund crucial local services. And it's what the Conservative regime has done over and over again. They defund an... Hang on. There'll be a moment's silence. They defund... Sorry about that. I had to do something awful.
Disgusting.
They defund an organisation and then blame that organisation for not being able to cope. See the NHS above. And they're doing it with councils as well. 5 members of the Special Interest Group of Municipal Authorities, a collective of 47 urban councils, said they were in such dire financial straits that they're considering issuing notice of their inability to balance their budget for next year. A further 9 members of councils say that they have in effect to declare bankruptcy next year. The group called on the government to provide additional funding to local authorities struggling to manage. But reducing funding to local authorities struggling to manage is their number one priority.
It's the country's number one priority.
Exactly. The growing threat of a wave of effective bankruptcies is said to be driven by dwindling cash reserves, usually held over to plug gaps in budgets. They defund councils and then blame them for not being able to cope. Labour councils have, of course, borne the brunt of local government cuts over a decade of austerity. Poorer, largely Labour-held areas of England have had their funding slashed on average by at least a third, while more affluent, largely Conservative areas received greater protection. Isn't that surprising?
No.
No. We know it's not surprising because they've actually said out loud. Fishy Sunak said this out loud. He told us what he's doing. This is the remarkable thing. They don't even try to hide it. They pick your pocket while telling you they're picking your pocket. And you think, well, it couldn't possibly be picking my pocket because they just told me to my face that they're picking my pocket. They wouldn't have the nerve, would they? Well, yeah, they would. Labour councils have borne the brunt of local government cuts over a decade of austerity. The analysis carried out with SIGOMA, which is this special interest group of municipal authorities, urban councils, it comes 10 years since the Conservative Chancellor, George Osborne, announced the deepest period of cuts to public service spending since the Second World War. Where the results are all around us. The results are falling all around us, to the extent that you can't go to school anymore, kids. Can't go to school. They're very upset. Well, if they're not upset now, then they will be later. When they find that the only jobs that are open to them are minimum wage, no contract. On average, Labour councils saw their spending power reduced by 34%. The average council, run by the Conservatives, suffered an equivalent decline of less than a quarter. Of the 50 councils which received the deepest budget cuts, 38 were Labour-controlled. Wow. Does it seem like a plan?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah. I'm going to have somebody else talk for a while because I'm going to have to do some coughing. St Ives, hello, Jay.
Good evening, Nick. Yeah, first of all, what I've noticed, sitting on my backside, that nobody has ever thanked you for doing a effing great job. Sorry.
Yes.
So I wanted to thank all the Tory supporters and Tory party and all the previous, even the letters. I want to thank that for great job they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, for the country. Secondly, what I wanted to say is, and I'm blaming Keir Starmer for not mentioning for Danny Khalifa escaping the prison.
That's
Why
right.
he has never mentioned it at the PMQs. I never heard him saying that.
Yes.
So,
it's on you, Keir Starmer.
It is, isn't it? And then another thing is one more Brexit benefit. I found it for you.
You have?
Yes. You remember Horizon?
Oh, that.
What's it called? Yeah. We joined. And then another one is we made a deal with Mongolia as well. So we've got a free trade with Mongolia. So we can...
Yes. So we can, experience the imports from Mongolia that we've been missing up to this point. Like, I've got nothing at all. I've got no idea.
Yes, and there's other things I wanted to mention, but basically, as I mentioned before, we live in an abusive relationship. So now what it is we've been punched on our eyes. We've got black eyes, right? Yeah. Imagine that. Now we're wearing glasses, but they're punching us through the glasses now.
Punching us in the face over and over and over again. Yeah. And there's a significant number of people in this country who think that situation is just great and they can't wait to vote for more of it.
Yeah, and the problem is, once we got the stability, which we will get through it, and we'll get a good government, but we won't know what to do because we used to this abuse now. Yes. So the normality will come in. Yeah. What we're going to do, we're going to be like...
It'll seem a bit weird, yeah.
Yeah, like we're in dungeon right now, we're going to come to the light and we'll go, what's going on?
Yeah, let's go back downstairs where it's dark and we're certain of getting a beating once a day, but at least we know where we were, yeah.
And as you said, they're going to get voted back again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be remotely surprised, yeah. Well, it wouldn't be better under Labour, would it, they say. All right, good work. Thanks a lot, Jay. Keep your eyes peeled.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
He is a very sick and dangerous man.
Yes, I'm a very sick and dangerous man. I sound a lot iller than I feel. This has been going on for ages. Maybe I've got the lurgy.
Oh,
no. Yeah. Maybe it's the, it. 0345 6060 973. It's certainly unlike anything I've had before. And maybe I had the it during the pandemic. But it wasn't like this. It's just going on and on and on. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Ashling, London.
Hi, Nick.
Ashling.
I hope you feel better soon.
Thanks.
Yeah, bless you. I just called in to say it's really annoying because I've had to come away for a little bit, but it's so annoying that the heat has just kind of come now. It's so typical. But I think it's only going to last a few days, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you mean now? Why
now,
why not?
I'm away.
Oh, you're away. Where are you? Where are you?
I just had to come away for some personal reasons. But I'm out of the country for a week and a bit. So it's just typical because I love the sun, and it's just so annoying that it's nice there just now. But it's also annoying because I was just saying to the producer that for ages I didn't bother getting a TV license because I didn't feel like I'd use it. I didn't watch it. So, and then I got it because Wimbledon was on and I really wanted to be able to watch that and stuff. Yeah. So I got the TV license or whatever, and now I go on to watch the Rugby World Cup. But you can't get it when you're away. I know you don't like rugby.
No. It's just a bunch of steroidal freaks running into each other. How is that even a sport?
Well, I know you disagree with me, but I still think it's a lot better than soccer.
Oh, come on, Aisling.
Yeah, I know, but we've had this debate before, and I don't want to argue.
So what is it? What is the rugby thing that's on at the moment? What is it?
The Rugby World Cup is on now.
And who takes part in the Rugby World Cup?
Quite a few countries. Ireland
like Ireland,
like Ireland, New Zealand, England, Wales, Scotland.
Yeah.
And Romania. Lots and lots of countries.
Right.
A lot more countries than you'd have in some of the other rugby tournaments. But it will be good. But I didn't realise that it's really blocked when you're abroad. And it's just something that's quite annoying as well about like the TV license, because you pay for Netflix or whatever and you can use it anywhere, but you pay for the TV license, it won't let you use it in the country. Because the only reason I got it was for iPlayer. But I didn't realise that it blocks it, which is quite annoying. But it's even, it's strange, it doesn't even let you stream, like, coverage, like, to listen to. Anyway, I'm sure you don't care, but I just know.
Well, you got that right.
Anyone knows how to get it.
Well, you've got to
really
hightail it back to this country. If it's really that important to you, then come back to our country. Well, I mean, what kind of a treasonous person leaves this country in the first place? Don't you think that this is Great Britain, Aisling?
I'm already gone for a week.
A week, right. Well, at this rate, this entire country might have fallen down by the time you get back.
It's crazy how much can happen so quickly.
I hope you've got house insurance, because your house might be among the things that are falling down.
Oh, God.
But on that happy note...
Take a COVID test, Nick, just in case.
I'm absolutely not going to do that, Aisling. What would be the point?
Did you ever get it? Did you ever get COVID?
I had to assume that I did. I mean, during the course of the pandemic... Then there was a couple of times where I felt I got something weird that I hadn't had before, so I assumed that that's what it was. But I've never taken a test.
Really?
Well, I looked it up, and your most infectious before you've got any symptoms, and for a couple of days after the symptoms start. So this has been going on with me for well over a week now.
That is strange.
In fact, I think it's 2 weeks, isn't it? I wouldn't be surprised if it was it, but what would be the point of knowing?
Well, yeah, true. I don't know. I mean, most people got it. I didn't get it somehow, and I've got the worst immunity in my whole family. And I spent a lot of the pandemic in hospital, and I still managed to not pick it up.
Wow.
Which is strange. But yeah, the rest of my family got it. And my granny is 97, and she didn't get it either.
97 years old?
Yeah.
That deserves this. 97.
Thank you. She'll be very pleased to have you did that.
Okay, well, pass that on with my compliments.
I will. She'll be. Yeah, she's a stubborn, but she's great. But yeah, she didn't get it either, which is crazy. But anyway, do look after yourself, Nick. And it's always lovely to talk to you. You're hilarious regardless of being sick.
All right. Thanks a lot, Aisling. An unsolicited testimonial. Have I done a break? Huh? What's that?
Yes, you have.
I have. Wow, I am doing tremendously well. Steve says, read that. See, I'm way ahead of schedule. Got no idea where I'm going, but I'm making excellent time. Tom says, did you hear Conservative Party Chairman Greg Hands accusing Labour of running things badly with other people's money in regards to the bankruptcy of Birmingham City Council? The Tories' level of delusion is incredible. Seems like I've read that one as well. Yeah. Well, to finish that thought, on average, Labour councils saw their spending power reduced by 34% from central government, while the average Tory council suffered only 24% decline on average. 34 for Labour, 24 for the Tories. It sounds like a plan to me. Coincidence? No. Of the 50 councils which received the deepest cuts, 38 were Labour-controlled in 2010. Just 5 were Conservative. Curious. Labour council leaders from the worst hit areas have told The Guardian that the cuts were so politically skewed as to feel like electoral manipulation. Because you know what, the people who are in the areas of those councils, they won't blame the council for shutting the library and closing the swimming pool and not picking up the rubbish and all the rest of that. Or rather, they will blame the council. They'll blame the council for that, but the council is only doing that because they don't have the money that used to be coming from central government because of austerity. Labour councils say that the targeting of Labour authorities was deliberate and the equivalent of gerrymandering. Funding some of the most affluent areas increased while ours decreased, they said. But we know that this is true. We know that it's deliberate policy because they've told us that. On camera. Rishi Sunak, last year, admitted taking money from deprived urban areas in order to give it to other parts, richer parts of the country. He was the Chancellor at the time. He was standing to be Prime Minister. He made the claim in July last year while speaking to Conservative Party members in Tunbridge Wells, in Kent, which is about as Tory as it gets. In footage obtained by the New Statesman, Sunak said, on camera, I managed to start changing the funding formulas to make sure areas like this, Tunbridge Wells, are getting the funding they deserved. He said, we inherited a bunch of formulas from Labour that shoved all the funding into deprived urban areas, and that needed to be undone. I started the work of undoing that, he said. Who is this guy? I mean, seriously, what kind of a person is that? What kind of a person would deliberately and then boast that he's taking money away from deprived areas and giving it to rich ones? What kind of a person is that? He's running this country. He could quite possibly be the worst Prime Minister we have ever had in this country. And the recent competition is huge.
Absolutely.
I mean, can you imagine beating this guy?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
The worst. Actually boasting out loud in front of an audience on camera that he's taking money from poor areas and giving it to rich ones. That needed to be undone. I started the work of undoing that, he boasted. Tunbridge Wells has a Tory majority of 14,000 odd, has been held by the party since the constituency was created in 1974. So he was on home turf. And that's the it of it. That's why your local council can't afford anything, is because they have been defunded by the Conservative Party as a way of, so the Labour Party think, gerrymandering in order to win votes and potentially the next general election. Because locals don't blame the Conservative Party head office, they don't blame the central government, they blame their local council. But if their local council doesn't have any money because they've been defunded by central government, it's not their fault. And this is why they're all engaged in these stupid, risky business ideas with which they are losing money. It's because they're desperate. I mean, what else can they do? I mean, they might as well just take the money they've got and go to the casino and put it on red. And that's essentially what some of them have done. They've gambled on, hotel projects or funded building flats and so on, things that they're not expert in. And they've got rinsed by the professionals, and it's not worked out. It's just amazing what is happening in this country. And like I said, the shocking thing is that the Tories aren't hiding it. They're boasting about it. Telling you they're picking your pocket while they're picking your pocket. and getting away with it. It's just amazing. Every day in every way, it just keeps getting more and more incredible. What is going on in this country? Islington, Angus.
Hi there. I was very interested in your comment about the difference between a million and a billion.
Yeah.
This is... if I say that a million seconds is around 11 minutes, what do you think a billion seconds is? How long is that?
Yeah, it's about 37 years.
It is. It's 32 years.
Yeah.
And it's always quite good to ask people that, because you just begin to realise. And a trillion is, in fact, I got it wrong when I rang up, it's 31,000
years, yeah.
31,668. So
it puts it into perspective, too much bleeping perspective.
It does. Well, the government loves mixing up, we spent a million here or a billionaire or odd billionaire here. Yeah. The difference is just, it's 11 days to 32 years.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to tax billionaires whose wealth have gone up from 211 to 650 billion in 10 years, when everyone else has got poorer.
Well, it's remarkable when you look at who has actually benefited from the Conservative rule over the last 13 years, and it is the richest people in the land have got stratospherically rich, and everybody else has got poorer. Everybody else.
And it sort of it leads to the question: is the government's programme? They've spent 745 billion on QE up to June 20 from November 9. And a lot of that was ostensibly to socialise the stock market, to buy stocks and shares, to push up the value of shares. And that just made the rich richer.
Yeah, share buybacks. It's a giant scam.
It's the Treasury buying it back through lending money to the banks.
Yeah,
by early redemption of Treasury bonds.
Right, and so a massive amount of money floods through the system, and it's used to by corporations and banks alike to buy back their own shares, thereby raising the price of the shares, which triggers the bonuses.
Correct. And that has resulted in billionaires' wealth going up. They're the tip of the iceberg from 211 to 653 billion.
Yep.
And I think in a wartime situation, which we are now, and they've profited, and so has the big energy companies.
Treasonous.
We have to have a wartime windfall tax, which would pay for everything.
Yeah, if it was war, then there'd be a lot of people who are in power now who'd actually justifiably be sent to jail for treason.
Yeah, well, we are in a de facto war with Russia. The population is paying huge inflated price gouging on any energy markets.
Well, it is as though we are at war, but we're at war with the 0.1% who seem to be dragging like magnets all of the money from the little people, not leprechauns, up to themselves. Because I think their thinking is, well, what is a poor person going to do with £1,000? Nothing. They're going to spend it on cigarettes and magazines. If you take the £1,000 from all of the poor people in the country and you give it to a couple of people, well, now you've got someone to play with. Now you can go and buy a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Angus. Stay angry. I know you will. I hope you will.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Well, let's get back to it.
0345 6060 973. James texts £1.5 trillion in £20 notes would cover the UK landmass to a depth of over 11 feet. That can't be true. Really? Well, I wouldn't be remotely surprised. Anyway, that's the amount that Fishy Sunak has lost. 1.5 trillion. But lost is probably not right. Misappropriated, to put it like that. They spent that money, and nobody can think for one solitary second of anything that we got for it. I mean, if only we kept the receipt, we could ask for a refund. But apparently not. If you don't know what you spent with it, then you can't get a refund. That is the basic principle of buying stuff. Must keep the receipt. Vancouver, hello, Nick.
Oh, hi, Nick. I just wanted to point out that austerity is even more dumb than you might have thought. The Conservatives here were sort of trying to promote austerity as well, and the Liberals had a very good argument for it back in 2009, 10, what have you, which is basically money's free right now. Interest rates are zero. Now is the time we spend money. We'll save money when interest rates go up.
Right.
You now have, as a country, have to rebuild those schools, have to build those hospitals, have to replace the failing concrete in Heathrow Airport, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think there's any have to about it. I would be very surprised if the current regime did any of the above. I mean, they've been spending the last 13 years trying not to do it. Why would they change now?
Well, eventually you have an Abbot 200 kids die, right, and someone goes, "Oh, we might lose the election." Yeah. Much more of this happens. At that point, they do tend to respond somewhat.
Well, but the point is, I think that people will be calling this show in that event saying, "Well, it wouldn't be any better under Labour."
Yeah, probably Keir Starmer's fault for building it that way.
Exactly, for not bringing it to Rishi Sunak's attention.
Yes. But no, the point I was going to make is that the maintenance work that the UK has been putting off for the last 10 years, when it's been almost free for governments to borrow money, will now have to be done at 4%, 5%, 6% interest rate. Right. So your austerity, in effect, will cost you 3 times as much as it would have done if you'd done it back
but at that point, it won't be the Conservative Party, in all probability, that is in charge of this country anymore. It will be Labour, and the Tories will blame the Labour Party for everything that they have done to us over the last 14 years.
Of course. There's a reason I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, Rishi Sunak is going to put pressure on Russia, said the newsreader. Put pressure on Russia. Yeah, I'm sure Vladimir Putin is quaking at his boots. Going to put pressure on Russia and point out that his action, that Vladimir Putin's actions are hurting the little people.
The little people.
Not leprechauns. But the problem with that is that Vladimir Putin can read. The Resolution Foundation has discovered that this parliamentary term is on track to be by far the worst for living standards since the 1950s. Typical working-age household incomes are on course to be 4% lower next year than they were in 2019. Never in living memory have families got so much poorer over one parliament. And there is one group that has done particularly well since the Conservative Party took over. Their wealth has increased by, 15% between 2010 and 2015, and 12% between 2017 and 2020. Can you guess which group that is? I mean, if you had to put all of the money that you own in the world on it being the poorest among us or the richest among us, which do you think it would be? Correct. Correct, Amundo. Worcester. Hello, Matt.
Matt Taylor.
Matt.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Is that Nick?
Is that Matt?
Yes, it's Matt Taylor, and I am politically homeless.
What does that mean?
I need you to help. I need you to help me, Nick.
Right. Okay, you're politically homeless. You don't like the Labour Party, and you're not a greenie.
No, I used to vote Tory.
Yeah.
Now I vote Green.
Right. Oh, you vote Green. So you're not politically homeless. You're a greenie.
No, but I also want to vote Labour. I consider that homeless.
Right.
And I need you to help me, please, Nick.
I would choose either of the above or another of your choosing at the moment of at the moment of truth. But you must vote regardless.
I will vote. Well, I would like to go and live in Lithuania, where my beautiful partner's from.
Oh, yeah.
But we can't do that now because 30 days of the 6 months or something's stopping me from doing that.
If you're married, can't you go and live there?
I can get married to her, but I have to live there for 7 years to get the passport.
Right. But you could live there.
Oh, I can live anywhere I want, Nick.
Well, you can't.
No, I can. But I can't get a passport and a life to live anywhere I want because of Brexit.
No, but you can't live where you want because of Brexit.
I can't. Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. All right. I don't really know what you're talking about, Matt. Because of Brexit, you cannot go and live in the European Union, as far as I'm aware. But if you marry a Lithuanian, then I would have assumed that you would be able to go and live in Lithuania, wherever that is. Look it up on a map, Matt, before you decide to go there. That's my best recommendation to you. Thanks a lot, mate, for, whatever that was. Martin texts, you say that Fishy is the worst Prime Minister. Surely it has to be David Cameron. He instigated the referendum that took us out of the... Ew. He created austerity measures that broke all of our public services and set the low level of expectation that we've had with all subsequent MPs.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, we're still not missing you, Dave. But if we do, we know where to find you. You'll be in the shed of where they keep the tools. Yeah, well, it's just been one calamity after the next, like we're in a giant clown show experiment. First it was David Cameron, and then it was Mrs. M with her, with her clown shoes. Kick off your... you can't walk in them shoes, Mrs. M. Kick them off and put your feet up. Relax. You deserve it. And then it was this car crash.
Yeah. Wait.
Followed by this one.
Absolutely.
And then you know who?
I am totally 100% on it.
100% on it. This is him doing his best. If you can believe that. Hang on. Oh, dear. This is awful. But you know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I didn't think that I sounded ill until I came in, and then I started speaking, and I thought, oh, you sound like you got a cold, mate. It's not a cold, it's something else. It's, I think it's the lurgy.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But I'm in a small room on my own, and I'm not passing it on to anybody, and besides which, I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and you're not infectious, this long into it. I just wish it would go already. Let's see. Where am I going now? Merthyr Tydfil. Tydfil. Yeah, Merthyr Tydfil. Oh, Jeff.
How are you, Nick?
All right, mate.
I thought you passed out a couple of times.
How's
tonight,
that giant gaping hole shaping up near you?
We got a date. We got a date for it to finish. November the 17th.
This is this illegal coal mining operation, which is still going on, despite the fact that their license to dig expired last year, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's in September. This year is the annual celebration of the closure. But
they're still digging. It's a giant open cast coal mine. I mean, it's not like it can be hidden away in secret. It's this giant scar that you could see from space. Hell, that hole's as big as Wales, Jeff.
Nearly. The interesting thing is that there are massive rumours, alleged gossip, whatever, that the owners, I'm not sure it's Butch or Sundance, are now leaving the scene, and the talk is, because it's gossip, it's alleged, whatever, there is no money to fill the hole in.
Yeah. Oh, well, I wouldn't be remotely surprised, yeah. Very sad to report that all the money's gone. Yeah, don't ask us where it went, but we'll if you need to contact us, we'll be aboard the vast solid gold yacht that we have purchased with the proceeds.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you've been looking at I can't believe the weather that's hitting parts of Greece and Madrid and everywhere.
Amazing.
And I just can't believe this. The television pictures. But isn't it sort of indicative that this climate catastrophe seems to be building at the same time as the catastrophe that's going to hit Western European society financially? I mean, look at it. It's absolutely... The whole of your programme is one litany of disaster, isn't it? it's
starting with the host and then everything the host says. Yeah, it's all a disaster. You're right.
It is. It's doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And I can't see how the Labour Party can save the situation. And I can't see, because what they've done is lay down all these traps. And, well, they just spent the money on what we don't know. But the thing is, they've looted the place, and they expect the Labour Party to come in. And I just can't see it.
They won't be able. The Labour Party will not be able to fix anything in their first term, because they'll be desperately trying to, first of all, get their knees under the table and figure out what the hell is going on. Second, they'll be going through the books to figure out where all the money is, or has disappeared to. And it'll take them at least 3 years to actually get anything going, which will not bear fruit for another 5 years after that. An economy is a very hard thing to move around. And so they're going to spend the entire of their first 5 years with nothing really to show for it, because they'll be undoing all of the booby traps and the catastrophe that has been gifted to them by the outgoing Conservative Party, if that's the way the election goes. And so they're going to have to go to the country again after their first 5 years, saying, well, we're trying to move it around. But by that time, the public will have had 5 years of constant propaganda from the right-wing press and from every Tory that still exists on Earth, telling the public that it's Labour's fault. And just enough of them will believe it to vote in the Conservatives at the following election. I bet that that's what happens.
Oh, yeah, well, the only thing I would say to that, Nick, is that if they any sense at all, they would introduce, or somehow or other, introduce proportional representation.
Correct.
Because if they don't, it will be the end
of the Labour Party. Yeah, it will be, the Conservatives will come back in, and it will be another 13 years. And but they're not. Keir Starmer is not going to do that. He's already said he's not going to do that. So just another way in which he's disappointed me.
Yeah, true. And me. We're all disappointed.
Yeah, we're not upset. We're just disappointed. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Come on, we're running late.
0345 6060 973. Jim says, you are so right. The first time I saw him, I thought, that nose is way too big for that head. And then I saw all of him, and I thought, that head is way too big for that body. It's like God made him out of leftovers. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like he's being filmed in Super Marionation to me. Chelmsford, hello, Jordan.
Right, lovely, man. Really good. All right.
Jordan.
Hello.
Yes, Jordan.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
Well, I owe you an apology.
Well, first of all, are you speaking directly into the phone?
No, because I'm off loudspeaker.
Ah, there you go.
So I just wanted to thank you for lowering my blood pressure.
Lowering your blood pressure? That doesn't sound like me. How did I do that?
Because a few weeks ago I called you as a very angry individual, right? And I was like, about the boats, right? And I wanted to really thank you sincerely, because you said to me at the call to you, there's 400,000 plus people that arrive by other means every year. And it's helped, because I was getting very angry about the manipulation I was being given by, the government. And it's helped. It actually helps me a lot. And it takes a big person to call in and say this.
How big are you?
6'1".
6'1". That's big enough.
18 stone. Yeah, I put on 3 stone. That's another subject. Yeah, but you come down on me very hard, and and I just wanted to say that actually, when I actually went over the call, because I'll be honest with you, Nick, I was very, very, very intoxicated.
Oh yeah.
Booze.
Yeah. You're not alone on this show.
Yeah, and you know what? When I looked at it, I was actually very thankful for the facts and advice you gave, because if that's the case, which it is, well, it's irrelevant what's happening, really.
Yeah, you're being distracted by an irrelevance, yeah. Eyes on the prize at all times, Jordan.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't really know what else I can add, but thank you very much. And,
OK, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Let's have a call in. Let me see now. Notting Hill Gate. John.
Oh, hi, Nick. How are you?
John, good, thanks.
Yes. One of the callers stole my thunder a bit. When I was listening to you, you seem to be hinting at proportional representation.
Yes.
Which I think is absolutely essential in any sort of a democracy.
Yep.
But I think the problem with it is that it can be easily dismissed when people go into the detail of exactly what it entails. And I was just wondering if there are easier ways of explaining it. I mean, you have multi MP constituencies, so you have a possibility of a Labour MP and a Conservative MP in the one constituency.
Right.
So that people have somebody representing them.
Yeah.
That's one of my easy takes on it.
Right.
And in that case, you are represented in Parliament, even though you're on the so-called losing side of who's in government.
Right.
But historically, it's interesting because in Ireland, during independence, it was introduced by the British into Ireland to help minorities. What they saw would be minorities when it became a independent state. And yet it's not introduced in this country. I find that a bit baffling.
I don't. It's when a party gets 100% of the power, that can be intoxicating, and they don't want to give that up. And the only way in which proportional representation can be instituted in this country is if the party in power allows it, and no one's going to want to give up 100% of the power.
I agree. Now, what happened in Ireland in 1959 BC was that a very powerful party run by Eamon de Valera wanted to get rid of proportional representation, and they held a referendum. And lo and behold, even though the country wasn't that well developed, you can imagine 1959 was like, people rejected his reasoning and said, no, we want to retain proportional representation. So, I mean, I have to apologise for saying this, but when you think of something like what would have been a third world country could see the dangers of not having proportional representation, it's baffling here.
It seems to me that it would knock the corners off. It would sand down the edges of the extremes of any party that happened to be in power. It would apply some checks, which is one of the reasons why I thought being in the European Union was good, because the government of this country didn't have just carte blanche to do whatever the hell it wanted. It had to abide by, certain rules that were in place for the benefit of the majority of the people, rather than just acting on the interests of their mates and their donors, which for a lot of people it appears to be what's happened with the current regime.
Well, shouldn't the Labour government offer a referendum?
Well, no, not a referendum. They should just say we're going to do it, and then they should do it.
Yes, but then again, if they get a very powerful majority, they'll then say to themselves, well, why should we sort of give that away?
Exactly. And so we're going to... Yeah, we're going to be stuck like this forever.
You put it to the people and say, we'll have a proper referendum on something that's really important to everyone in the country.
Yeah, I seriously doubt that the Labour Party will win 2 elections in a row, because...
No, that's exactly right. I agree exactly with you on that.
From moment one, the entire edifice of the right-wing press in this country, the dominant right-wing press in this country, will be blaming Labour for everything that the Tories have done over the previous 14 years. From moment one, from the first second...
Well, there's a very good example of that this week. Something I came across by accident. Have I got time to go on?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Is that the chap who's the Lord Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, he is bringing in tube carriages from Germany. They've been made in Germany and brought over for the Piccadilly line. He's now also got a factory. I presume it's him. Somebody else had claimed responsibility from the government, I suppose. But he's got a factory going in, I think it's East Yorkshire, where they will be assembling half of these carriages. I haven't seen anything of that in the press. I just came across it by accident. It's on the tube, it's on the YouTube, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I can't wait not to take those trains, because I avoid the tube like the plague, and it's quite possible that that's what you might not catch if you avoid the tube, the plague. I mean, it's no accident that the people on the tube look ill. They kind of just look sick, and you only notice that when you go on holiday and you come back. I've said this many times on the air. It always struck me when I used to have to take the tube in on a regular basis to work, how ill everybody looks on the tube when you come back from holiday. I mean, you've just been outside and everybody's brown and tanned and they're relaxed, and you come back and these crouched people on the tube, they're hunched over.
You're on the
hunched over in their seats, and they all look pale and wan and sickly. And it's no surprise to me that people with pollution monitors, those particulate monitors, they go down into the end of the tube. Henry Riley from this station did that just the other day, and they came up with a reading which was off the scale. No thanks. I'll take the bus, and I'll walk, and maybe buy myself an attractive pair of roller skates. What do you think, John?
You're welcome.
Yeah, all right.
I can't argue with you.
Okay.
But I'll stop laughing.
All right. Thanks a lot, mate. Cheers. Gotta go, 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 mate. Cheers. Gotta go.